All right, let's do this. Hi everyone, this is Vecchia Zim trying something new today, trying a live stream of this porting process. Uh, Never done it before, um, so there's a real high chance that this could be the hottest of hot garbage. But wanted to try it just if people wanted to stop by and ask questions. But even if not, uh, what I'll do is I'll make sure the VOD goes up and I'll put it on the channel later. And you can take a look at what's going on and sort of see the process in action. Some of the stuff I've talked about in my tutorials, and maybe it'll help clarify some things uh, if you actually see it happening in real time. So that's fine. If you do stop by, feel free to throw something in the chat and I'll answer questions that anybody might have. So what we're going to port today is actually an old classical piece. This is by Saint-Saëns. It's from Carnival of the Animals, and it's called Aquarium. And I've always felt that it would make some really good level music. It has this kind of ambient kind of vibe to it that I think would go really well, obviously, for a water level. But a lot of people think it sort of reminds them of sort of winter scenes, too. So it's got a kind of floaty sound to it. So I think it would actually work really well for a game track. Let's just take a quick look at it here. I've got the sheet music. And one thing you'll notice is that there are 8 instruments here. We've got the flute. We've got harmonica. That means a glass harmonica, not, this isn't mouth organ around the campfire kind of harmonica. So when you see harmonica, you should think more like a finger around the edge of the glass kind of situation here. That's the sound that they're going for. We've got this first piano part, second piano part, first violin, second violin. This is viola, says alto. That's just the French word. And we've got a cello in the bottom part there. So that's a good start. We have 8 instruments and 8 lines. And when you're making S&W music, you only get 8 channels. So I can see, at least for the beginning here, that things are going to be okay in terms of how many notes we can play at once. One thing that's going to give us a little bit of trouble, at least right off the bat, that I can see, is that this first piano part is really high with that octave up. And I think that that's actually too high for any of the vanilla samples in Super Mario World. So we're going to have to do something. We're either going to need to bring in an external sample, or we're going to have to, we could transpose the whole thing down. This is in A minor. Maybe we bring it down to D minor, something like that. I think for today, what I'll do is I'll just put it in an octave low. At some point, I'll probably want to use some external samples, but for the moment, I'm just going to stick with the vanilla built-in instruments and just use those. And that way, I don't have to worry about picking instruments and things like that. We can at least get a bunch of the notes in here and ready to go, and worry about that stuff later. So yeah, the only other thing, to start off that you really need to think about is what are you going to put in channel 7 in particular? As I mentioned in one of the tutorials, channel 6 and 7, those are the ones that get superseded by sound effects. And in particular, channel 7 is going to be gone like half the time. So that's because like every time Mario jumps, that sound effect gets put into channel 7. So I just want to make sure that anything you put in channel 7, it has to be something you can live without. So I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to put this glass harmonica part in channel 7. It's a bunch of short notes in a row. You can see that they're actually the same notes as are in this first violin part here. So we won't lose any of the sort of harmony or the melody or anything like that. So I think that'll be a good start anyway. And if at some point I want to switch this up, I'll do that. But yeah, so I think what I'll probably do, and I'll actually put some comments in here just to make sure I'm keeping track of myself here. I've got my text file open. I'm just going to put a little comment here using the semicolon just to tell myself which instrument I'm going to put in which part, just to keep my head on straight here. So I'm going to put the noodly stuff, both of these piano parts, in the top two channels. That's where the really active ones go. So I'll put the piano 1 in channel 0, piano 2 in channel 1. Let's throw the flute, that top part, in channel 2. And we'll do violin 1 in, that's channel 3. Violin 2, channel 4. Freudian thought there. Violin 2 in channel 4, 2. And then we got some viola, channel 5. And we'll throw the cello in channel 6. Again, this one will sometimes disappear as well. And you know, we've got this giant long note in the cello part. That's not the kind of thing you usually want to lose. But I think since it's just one note for now, let's do it that way. Maybe I end up switching the viola and cello at some point just to make sure it's all right. And then, yeah, as I say, I'll put the glass harmonica part in channel 7. I might not even include the glass harmonica part. I'll call it glass just so there's no confusion. Today, I'll worry about that later. I've got a sort of special glass harmonica kind of fake sound that I like to use, but it takes a little bit of tweaking to get it to work. So yeah, why don't we get started? I've got a lot of this text file set up already, and so I've got this AMK2 thing. That's the thing that makes sure that Add Music can read it and run it. This little SPC, these are just sort of documentation kinds of things, comments. These don't actually affect the way the thing sounds. I also have a couple global settings here. This F402, that's it's a sort of a legato thing. What it does is that Super Mario World, when you put notes in, it automatically shortens the notes just a little bit. It shortens them by 2 ticks, as they're called. That's the sort of smallest unit of time for a note. And what this does, F402, is it actually shortens that gap to 1 tick. So the notes get closer together. There's less of a gap in between them. And I figured for something as sort of smooth and kind of, what's the word, connected, lyric, all of that good stuff, as this aquarium thing, floaty, this sort of wash of sound, we'll probably want to use that legato setting there. We'll see. I don't always like it. Sometimes I think it makes things sound worse, but I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see if we like it. I've also got this global volume set. I'm setting it to the maximum volume, to 255. I can always make it softer, but it's harder to make things louder, which I might talk about a little bit later. The first thing I really have to do is choose a tempo, and that's why I have this T here. I haven't really chosen anything yet, and there's no tempo marking here. It just says andantino, very unhelpful tempo marking. It's sort of one of those, it's sort of mid to slow, but not too slow, but not mid kinds of tempo markings. And so we just wanted to have a real sort of gentle, easy flow to it. So I think I'm probably going to do something maybe around quarter note equals 60. We'll see how that sounds. But I'll remind you that if you want quarter note equals 60, you can't set the tempo to 60. You have to do some math. And so I'll get a calculator out here. And 60. And what you do, it's very simple. You just multiply it by 0.41. What do we got? And that gives us 24.6. Let's put it on the slower side. So I'll choose 24. I have to choose an integer. I can't choose 24.6 exactly. So I will choose T24. And I can always change that later if I feel like that's too fast or too slow. And then what else do we need to do before we dive in? Well, we've got to pick instruments. So I think if you've watched any of my tutorials, one of my favorite instruments to use is instrument 16, which is the quote unquote harp sound. It doesn't sound really like a harp, but it's something that sounds good sort of throughout the registers. Sounds good, pretty good low, sounds pretty good high. And it's got a lot of versatility to that, especially when you're just getting started. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up fake instruments thing, this instruments sort of command option here, where you can take the existing instruments and you can tweak them a little bit if you want to do that. And what this is going to allow me to do is I can put in instrument 16 and I can put in the kind of settings that that instrument automatically has. And if I want to change those as I go, I can. And I think I'm going to want to do that. So let me just take a quick look. As always, I need to find my instrument settings. I do not have these things memorized. They're up here somewhere. Here we go, built-in samples. And I'll find instrument 16. And these are the numbers that I want. So I'll copy and paste. There we go. I have to get rid of these comments. Now these are the default settings, so this won't actually change anything yet. This is just sort of making this instrument sound the same way as this instrument would always sound. But once I want to change it, I'll be able to do that. So as always, it's nice to put in a little comment here to remind you that this is going to be instrument 30. If I want to use this altered version of 16, I'm going to have to designate it as instrument 30. So let me finish up this curly bracket there. And if I want to add more instruments into this little instruments function thing, I can do that later, and that'll just turn into instrument 31, 32, 33, and so on. But yeah, let's see here. So that means for a lot of these instruments, I'm going to use this instrument number 30. I think for the pianos, I'm actually going to try it just straight up as instrument 16. I'll just use the basic harp sound. Again, if I want to change that, I can do that. So for channel 0 and channel 1, I'll just use instrument 16. For flute, there is a flute sound. I'll use it. It's actually instrument 0. You can see it up here at 0, flute. The only thing that's a little bit weird about this that you have to remember is that you'll see that this is set to 6 and not 3, as most of them are. Sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. But what it means in this case is that everything that you use for instrument 0 for the flute sound is going to sound an octave higher than the way you write it. So if I go into my Aquarium thing, if I want to write this first E here, I'm going to have to write it an octave lower in order to get it to sound like where I want it to sound. So just have to keep that transposition in mind when I do it. And now for all the strings, these 4 parts, I'll make these all instrument 30. That's again, that's just going to be instrument 16. It's exactly the same as instrument 16 for now, but it'll give me the power to sort of change that sample sound a little bit. I can tweak it, make it not sound like a harp. So I'll call the violin instrument 30, both violins instrument 30, viola instrument 30, cello instrument 30. And then for the glass harmonica, I know that what I'll eventually want to use is instrument 2, which is sort of the bell-like sound. Yeah, blingy glockenspiel. And then I'll mess with a few settings to make it sound like that sort of wah, wah kind of thing that you get with the glass harmonica. I'm not going to mess with that today. Maybe another time. Let's just get started. Let's get some notes in here, and we'll see if we can make some music happen. Why don't we start? start with that cello part. And let's see here. Where's my music? Here it is. So this is not much of anything, is it? We've got whole note A, whole note A. First of all, let's get that octave in there. That is octave number 3, so that's O3. And I've got the instrument, and I've got A tied to A, tied to A, tied to A. This is going on forever. Let's just do these first 4 bars to begin with. You'll notice that, as always, I like to fill out the channels with all the rests in advance. That's what all these R1s mean. That way I know I have the same amount of material in every channel. And that's going to help me sort of keep track of where I am. So this first note for the cello is pretty simple. It's A forever and ever. And so that's A, 1, tied to 1, tied to 1, tied to 1. It actually keeps tied after that point, but I think I'm going to break it there for now. Since I'm using the harp sound, there is no way that A is actually going to last all of those sort of 16 beats of those 4 whole notes. But once we change the way that harp sounds, maybe we'll be able to get what we want. All right, so that A is in there. Let's head up to this viola part. So where's the beginning here? This is our first measure. Viola part, we've got E, F, E, F, E, and F. That's straightforward enough. What octave are we in? We are in O4, the 4th octave. And we've got a whole bunch of quarter notes. You know, I think we've got enough quarter notes that I'm actually going to put in an L4. L4, you may remember, is just a way of designating a rhythm without having to put in that rhythm every single time it happens. So now every time I have a quarter note in the viola part, I don't have to actually put the 4. The 4 will be assumed. So what are we starting with? We have E. That's a quarter note. Again, I could put the 4 in, but since I have the L4 in there, I don't need to do that. We have E, F, E, E, F, E, and then I have an F right here. This is a dotted half note. That's 2 dot, like that. All right. And then I'll go down. I'll just do the first 4 measures the same way I did with the cello part. What do we got? E, F, E, F, E, F sharp. So something very similar. Again, the quarter notes are going to be assumed, so I'll just say E quarter note, F quarter note, E quarter note, F quarter note, E quarter note, and this time the dotted half note is an F sharp. So F sharp, 6 dot. Now, this is very little music, especially since this cello A is not going to ring very long at all. But let's just run this. I want to make sure that nothing is sort of actively broken at the moment. Make sure we're actually hearing things. So we haven't sort of gotten off to kind of a false start here at all. So where's my add music here? Got the right file chosen, Aquarium. I can look over here and see that it's saved. There's no asterisk right there. So let's run it and we'll see if we get any notes to sound. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, what more could you need? That already sounds sounds great. Nothing you would change about that at all. But why don't we add a few more notes just to get things a little bit more interesting. Let's go up to this second violin part here. We got the same rhythm as the viola part, but of course we have different notes here. We're up on this high C. So where's our second violin part? Here it is, violin 2. And we're going to start on that high C. That is octave 6, I believe. And again, it's the same rhythm as we had with the viola part, so I'm gonna put in L4 like that. That way I don't have to keep putting the fours in um, for all of these quarter notes that keep going and going. So I've got a C here, C quarter note, and then this is crossing that C-B divide. So anytime you cross between B and C, you're changing an octave. So I have to tell it to go down to B. If I don't say anything, it's going to go up to the B higher than the C. I don't want that. I want to go down. So I'm going to need to tell it to go down an octave, and that's the less than sign, like that. It goes down to B. And unfortunately, I'm switching back and forth, so I'm going to have to do this every time. To get back to C, I'm going to have to go back up an octave. There's the C. To go back to B, I'm going to have to go down an octave. There's the B. And let's see here. Now I need this C again. That's back up an octave. To the C. And then I have to go down an octave to get this F, dotted half note there. And of course, it's a dotted half note like that. And I'll save. And let's see what we got going. Well, let me get the next 2 bars first. I'll do 4 bars for each part. So again, it looks like this is kind of like the viola part in that it's almost the same, except I'm going to get an F sharp in the last note. So I can just do this. Do that. I have to remember to add that octave back up again to get back up to that high C from this low F. And I have to remember that this is an F sharp, not an F natural. Let's see if I made any grievous mistakes. I hope not, but let's run it. Here. Okay, now, yeah, we're starting to sound kind of like music. That's a good thing. I'm going to stop this, or else it's going to play rests upon rests upon rests, and we'll just sit here in silence. So I'll stop the SBC 700 player there. But yeah, we're already getting kind of like a harmony. That's kind of nice. This is going to get, I went way too far. Sorry. I went out of the aquarium into the kangaroos and elephants. My bad. There we go. Now let's grab this first violin part here. This is also high, so it looks like we're in octave 6. Fortunately, we don't switch back and forth between octaves quite so much as that second violin part, so we don't have as much to put in here. But again, I've got the same issue where I have a bunch of quarter notes, so I'm going to put this L4 in like that. And let's do it. So we're starting on E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, A. So E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, A, and of course I'm changing octaves, going down an octave for that. And then back up again, I assume. Let's head down to the next part where the first violin part plays. It's right here. This actually looks exactly the same. So what I will do eventually is I'll loop this. I'm actually not going to do that right now. I'm going to actually write everything out. I'll save all the looping, the sort of repeat signs stuff for later. If somebody wants me to do that, I can, just to show how it works. But what eventually I'll do is this. I'll put a bracket here and there, and put a 2 there just to say that that is going to repeat. That's going to happen twice. But for now, I'm just going to write this all out. And I'll deal with that optimization, the looping, later. So do it like that for now. All right. What do you think? This should sound even better, even more like real music. So every step gets us a little closer. Let's run it. Nice. Yeah, and I'll keep that from counting rests here. Stop that. And that's almost all of the stuff besides the piano parts, where the real interesting fun part happens. But let's grab this flute part too. So the flute part is actually just an octave down from the first violin part, you can see. E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, A. So actually, I can just do this. We'll copy and paste. So these are the notes I'm going to want. I think I put it in channel 2 if I remember. There it is. Rid of those rests, throw those notes in there. And now I just have to make sure I get it into the right octave. Now, remember I said before that flute, this instrument 0 is a transposing instrument. It's going to play everything an octave higher than where you write it. So this E is in octave 5. So I'm going to have to put it in octave 4. I'm going to have to write octave 4 here in order to get it to sound like it's in octave 5. It'll automatically bump it up 1 octave. And then I need to make sure I put an L4 in this channel as well. So these things which have no numbers next to them, these notes here, get turned into quarter notes. All right. Now this is a different sample, right? Instead of that it's at 30, which is going to be a modified 16 sample. This is at 0. So the notes here are the same that we had in the violin 1 part, but we will get a different sample sound, and we'll get those notes in a different octave than we had before. So let's hear it. Yeah, we'll give it a run. I think I saved. I did. Nice. Yeah. Sure, that sounds exactly like a flute. It doesn't sound anything like a sine wave, but anyway, that'll work for us for now. Now, before we get the really interesting stuff in here, obviously what we really want to hear are these 2 piano parts. I kind of want to start messing with this harp sample here. Again, I probably am going to go and eventually want to use some external samples, but let's see if we can get this at least kind of sounding the way we want it to sound. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this instrument here. Again, here's my instrument 30 right here that I've labeled as 30. It's just the harp sound, but it allows me to play with some of the settings. And the thing I'm going to play with here is this FE. FE, we talked about it in the built-in instruments tutorial. This is this hex value right here, the thing that's highlighted, is the thing that determines how the note starts, the articulation of the note. And the higher those numbers are, the more kind of pointed that articulation is. And that's why it sounds sort of harp-like. It's got that really sort of a strong sort of pluck sound at the beginning of the note. We don't want that. We want something that's a little smoother. We want something that's really smooth, actually. So I'm going to bump these numbers down. I'm just going to guess. We'll do some experimentation, but I'm going to take this first value. This is the decay value. I'll move it down to maybe, let's try B. And I'm going to move this one way down. Let's try 8. Now this should give us a much smoother sound for all of our strings. It's still going to die away really quickly because of how the rest of this instrument works, but hopefully we can get that to be a little bit more sustained as well. So, well, let's give it a shot. I'll run it. Okay, that's a little better, sort of, maybe, not really. Still kind of punchy. It's a little bit longer, which is good. It sounds a little bit longer. What we're going to need to do is, I think we're going to have to bring up this sustain value here. 7 isn't that quiet. It's the sustains happen in pairs. But if I bring this up a little bit more, it won't die away so much after the beginning of the note. I won't bring it all the way up. All the way up is both E and F. Those give you the highest sustain. Let me try, I won't try C or D either. Let me try A to start out with, like that. I think that's right. Yeah, I want to try an even number to start out with, and A will do the trick. I just saved. Let me run that, see what that does. Nice. Now, I won't say that sounds good, but we did solve a problem. Instead of the notes dying away completely, at least we can hear the notes the entire time. That's pretty nice. See, I'm trying to think if there's something else we can do to maybe soften this. I'm going to actually bring this decay value down even a little bit more. Well, let's bring it all the way down. The lowest value it can have is 8. And I'll even, if you bring it down any lower, then you're going to have to go into the gain and change that, which we might do. That might be kind of fun. But for now, let's just stay with these two values, these ADSR values. Again, if you don't know about these ADSRs, I talk about them a lot for like an hour in the, I think it's tutorial 4, where we talk about the built-in instruments. So I'm just going to try and soften up this articulation a little bit more even. Let me bring this down to, let's bring it down all the way to 4. This will actually probably wah a little bit. Just saved, so let me run it. Now, part of the reason we're getting a little bit of a punch there is that the flute sound is kind of punchy. And you know what? I think we're going to have to get rid of some of that punch. So we're going to have to, instead of just using the unaltered version of the flute sample, we're going to have to mess with it a little bit. So why don't I grab that flute sample here? Again, it's 0. Yeah, you can see, look, it's FE. That's a really strong articulation. And I don't think we're going to want that. So let's do this. And again, I don't need to actually put this semicolon thing here, but that's just sort of a helpful thing, especially if you have like dozens of these altered instruments. It's just a nice thing to remember what number it actually is. So I'm going to use this sort of adjustable version of the flute. So I have to go into that flute and make sure I, instead of using 0, I'll replace it with 31. And right now, since it's on the default, it won't change anything. It'll sound exactly the same. I'll actually demonstrate that just to prove it. Yeah, there you go. We're also peaking just a little bit, so we might have to bring down some volumes here. But that's okay. We can handle that in just a second. I am going to bring this down. I don't think I need to bring it down quite as far as the strings. In fact, I'll probably bring these strings and string instruments up a little bit. But I'll just put this, I don't know, let's do AA. And maybe that'll soften up this flute articulation a little. Let me run that. Yeah, a little bit. I'm going to bring this up to, maybe I'll bring it up to where the, to that same sustain level that I used for the strings. It's important to remember that you always want, this was 6, so that means it's an even number. And if I want the release value to stay the same, I need to make sure if I move it up or down that I'm moving it to a different even number, or else that'll totally mess up with the release. So I want to make sure if it's on 6, I want to choose 8 or 2 or 4 or A or C or E. I'll try A. Yeah, that's okay. At the very least, it's a little bit prettier than it was before and a little bit longer. There are a few other things we're probably going to have to end up changing in order to get this to sound good with the built-in samples. At some point, we're going to probably want to add some vibrato. I do think I'm going to make this not swell quite so much at the beginning. Let me bring this back up to 8. I think since I took out the punch a little bit for the flute part, this should still not be quite so punchy. It shouldn't sound so punchy with the harp part, or this, again, this sort of harp sample that we're using for the string parts too. All right, let's run it. Yeah, I think that's still a little too punchy, actually. Let me split the difference. Use 6. Yeah, it's okay. It is, it's too loud. Again, we're getting some peaking here. Why don't I try it with the global? See if I just bring this down to, oh, let's do 208. Okay, that's cool. It's a little harsh. We're going to have to add some vibrato and some echo and things like that, which will soften up the sound a little bit. But at least we're getting chords, we're getting long notes, and we've got that feel. So now let's add in the fun part. We've got the piano going here. This stuff. As I said before, this is way too high. Not way too high, but it's about an octave too high. This high C and E with this octave higher notation here is going to be too high. So as I say, I don't think there are any built-in instruments that can physically play those notes in that octave. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write this part down an octave. If I ever have to go higher than any of the vanilla instruments can play, I just want to get them in here. Just want to hear how they sound. And eventually I can just use an external sample. Hopefully, if I can find one that goes that high. Or I can just sort of transpose this to the sort of highest possible thing that the vanilla instruments can handle. So what do we have here? Well, we have one challenge immediately off the bat to get this first piano part in here. You see, actually, these are written as 30-second notes, but there's actually 9 of them. We have C, E, C, B, A, E, C, A, E, A. We have 9 notes in a row. And let me get those pitches in first. Then we'll talk about how we can handle the rhythm for them. Get rid of those rests. So again, since we're going to do this down an octave, that first C looks like that's an 06 C. So let me get this in here. 06. That. Yeah, not a lot of samples can play 07. So you would need a sample that's sort of deliberately built, kind of like the flute transposes, where it sounds an octave higher than you write it. We need something similar where it would sound an octave higher than you write it with some kind of external sample. So let's give this a shot. I know we have an A. Sorry, we're starting on a C, and then an E. I'm actually going to put these right next to each other since they're going to take up a lot of room. C, E, C, and then we go down an octave for the B, and then A, E, and then we'll continue down an octave here. So the C is still in the same octave. I'm talking about this C right there. And then next we're going down an octave again to the A and the E. I'll need one of those. A, E, and then this low A is also, that's down one more octave. Again, anytime you cross C and B, you're crossing an octave. So let's do this and give it an A. And those are our first 9 notes. All right, all set. That's cool. The question is, how can we write a non-uplet? Can we get 9 notes in one beat evenly? And this is something I talk a lot about in the rhythm tutorial. I think that's what the 3rd tutorial. You can't really write these directly. I can't say, okay, well, there's 9 notes in a quarter note. That means there's 18 and a half note. That means there's 36 in a whole note, and then just call these all 36th notes. It'll kind of work. You'll get almost the right thing, but it won't be exactly right. Instead, what I need to do is think, okay, I've got 9 notes that are taking up the space of one quarter note, and I want that to be as even as possible. So there are 48 ticks in one quarter note. I'll actually get out my little rhythm sheet here, instruments, samples, note lengths. There we go. So a quarter note here has 48 ticks, and I want to fit, I can't divide ticks. Ticks are like atoms. If you cut a tick in half, the world blows up, and we don't want that. So I have to keep all of these ticks whole, but I want to space them out as evenly as possible. So what's the number that's sort of closest, sort of multiple of 9 that fits into 48? And if my elementary school math doesn't fail me, I believe that is 45 is 5 times 9. So that means 5 of these notes, or sorry, is that 6 of those notes? Be smarter. Let's see here. That means I can give 5 ticks. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I want to give 5 ticks to a lot of these, and I'll give 4 ticks to the rest. Is that right? And my math is poor here. I want to give 6 to 3 of them and 5 to the rest. Doing math live is a bad thing. But let's see here. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. Does that make sense? I need 9 notes that are almost the same length. I'm actually going to get out my calculator to add 5 and 6 together, so that's not embarrassing at all. 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 4 sixes, 5 sixes, 6 sixes, is that right? And then I have 3 more notes that will be, well, those will be smaller than I want. That'll be 4, 4, and 4 because I only have 12 ticks left. So what if I start this with 5s instead? Let's clear this out. Never remember which button to push. That's all right. It'll keep it in the history. So if I do 5 times 9, I think what I need is 6 plus 6 plus 6. That's 3 notes, and then 6 5s plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. There we go. That was embarrassing, but that should give us what we want. 3 6 tick notes, 6 5 tick notes. We don't need to keep that calculator of shame on my screen. But what that means is that we're going to have 3 notes that use 6 ticks, and the rest are going to use 5. We're actually going to write 3 of them just straight up 30-second notes, because those have 6 ticks. But the rest of them, I'm going to have to make them all 5 ticks. I think I'll start out by calling these 30-second notes. Yeah, let's do this. I know it's jumbly, but that's all right. And then these I'm going to have to make 5. There's no note value that is exactly 5 ticks automatically, so I'm going to have to use an equal sign and just say equals 5, equals 5, equals 5, equals 5, equals 5, equals 5, equals 5. There we go. That takes up a lot of room, but that's okay. Actually, I am going to space these out just so it's a little bit easier to see. Like that. All right, I'm just going to have to put these on separate lines. So that's 1 quarter note beat. This is going to take up a lot of room, but that's okay. Fast notes do that. let's go find our sheet music again. Let's look at this beat 2 here. It's the same rhythm, right? No, this is straight up 30-second notes. So this is only 8 notes. Thank the Lord. We don't have to worry about doing fancy math. This is straight 30-second notes. So in fact, this is enough 30-second notes that I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this channel L32. That way I don't have to write 32 for all of these. So the next beat here is just straight 30-second notes. I have to make sure I get up into the right octave. So I think I want to go, come down 3 octaves, right? I've got octave down here, octave down there, octave down there. And I want to go back up, not 3 octaves, because this B is actually in the lower octave compared to this C. So I'll go up 2 octaves. Let's try it like this. And what are my notes here? And again, they're all 30-second notes, so this should be easy. It's B, it's up an octave D sharp, it's down an octave B, sorry. Again, I need this octave change here because the D sharp is in a higher octave than the B. Right. And after that third note, I've got A and D sharp. I'm going down an octave again for the B, and then the F, and then finally this last note, which is a low A. Again, that's an octave lower too. So it should be just like that. Whew. Man, fast notes take a long time. Now, in this case, these notes take up a lot of room, and I really don't want to sit here and just fill my code with note after note after note. Hey, Buckaroodle, thanks so much for stopping by. I'm glad my tutorials have been helping out. Just trying to spread the love a little bit, but I do appreciate you stopping by. We're trying to get something that sounds a little bit like an aquarium here. This should be a bit of an adventure, but hopefully we have a good time doing it. Right now we're trying to get this really noodly stuff to happen. So I've got these 2 beats written out, and now these 2 beats are exactly the same. And if this were slower music, I would do what I did before and just write it out and worry about looping it later. But this is going to take a ton of room. I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to loop this now. I'm going to give it, I'll give it a double bracket for reasons that I may or may not explain later or regret. But I'll give it the double bracket for now. And again, this is going to happen twice. Again, if I use a double bracket and I don't put a number, the Earth crashes into the sun, and we don't want that. Well, you get an error message, which is almost as bad. So let's see. I'm just going to listen to this. I don't have the same number of ticks in all parts right now, but this should get us going, and I'll just take a quick listen here. Yeah, Buckaroodle, this is actually, I did not compose Aquarium. This is an old school piece. This is by Camille Saint-Saëns. It's an old French piece. And I've always thought that it would make a good sort of water level. And so I'm trying to see if I can make it sound good in that way. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to be an adventure. But let's see if we've got the right notes here at the very least. So it's saved. I can run it. We'll call that a success. It's a little bit, the other parts are drowning it out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the non-piano parts. And it's off to a good start, Buckaroodle. Yeah, so, but definitely a ways to go. But we'll get there, we'll get there. Yeah, first thing, we need to make sure that these other parts aren't drowning out the fast-moving stuff, which is the fun stuff. So let's bring this down. And so I'll use a V value. Let's bring it down to 192, just a guess. And so the flute part I'll bring down, the violin part. the other violin part. Viola and cello. Let's try that, see if that lets the piano part be heard a little bit better. I think so. I think so. Still sounds a little bit more electronic than you might like for a piano, but that's okay. We're just getting it going a little bit. I also know that this measure here, I think, is going to be exactly the same as this measure here. So I'm going to throw in bar of rest. That's going to cover the second measure. There we go. And I'm going to write this exactly the same way. Again, eventually I'm going to want to do something better with the looping here to make it more optimized. But let's do that for now. I need to make sure I get back into the octave I want for this C. I think that means 3 octaves up. That might be a guess. But we'll know in just a second. There is something going wrong a little bit with the rhythm, and I'm not quite sure what. I'm going to check something. I'm going to take a quick look in my stats folder. There's Aquarium. Let's see. Yeah, I've got 20 too many ticks in channel 0 there. So I've got too much music, and I need to check to see why that is. Why am I getting 20 ticks too many? Because all the other channels have 6528, and here we have 6548. So what would that be? What would that be? I think that means I've got 5. Every time this happens, I've got 5 ticks too many. Yeah, not totally sure why that would be, but let's just do a quick cheat. So that should be a few smaller, and then I'll do this. I'll try that. This is total experimentation. And I'll move it down in this, the second time it happens also. And I'll give it a run. Yeah, I think that works now. I'll check the stats file just to make sure. Yep, got it down to 6528. So that is a solution, but we'll see if it's ends up being the solution. Yeah, Buckaroo, go for it. Yeah, usually when I see other people doing this or I hear a port I really like, yeah, that usually gets me in the mood for it too. So, but always happy to get more people involved for sure. Okay, well, that's a couple bars done, or at least something like done. Let me grab the next measure. Where is my, here we go. Let me grab this measure here. Now this first part, I believe, is the same. This beat is exactly the same as this beat. So I've already gotten that written out. So I can grab it from right here. And I'm replacing this whole rest. So I do this. Do I need to go up? Yes, I need to make sure I get this think that's what I want. Get this back into the octave it started. So I'm up on this high C instead of down on some low C. And now I have this. This is new, but this is 9 notes. Again, I have to fit 9 notes in the space of 1 quarter note. So let's just make sure that works out well. I'm going to just count these ticks. These should add up to 48. Is that right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why I screwed that up before. But yeah, this is the rhythm that I think I'm going to want to use. So that's good. That's good news. It's always good to figure out why something went wrong. So I'm actually going to copy this, even though the notes are different. I'll put this in here, and I'm going to just change the pitches one by one instead of having to rewrite the rhythm over and over again. So how many octaves up am I going here from this A to this F? Well, I think I'm going up. I'll go up once to get to that A, and I think I'll go up twice. So up and up. And again, I'm starting on this note here, so that's an F, and then an A, F, E, D, F, not changing octaves there, F, E, D, changing octaves here, going down an octave, and getting to that A, F, D, A, oh, wrong, bad, poor, A, F, no octave change here, D, and now I've got an octave change for this bottom A and this bottom D. Octave down A, no octave change there, and the D is there. Cool. Now the next 2 beats are exactly the same. So what am I going to do here? I'll just put this. Again, I'll use a double bracket. So I don't want to write up this thing out 3 times in a row. That's going to be tedious and awful. So I'm going to just write it once. I'll put it inside the double bracket, and I'll say that should happen 3 times. All right. Well, let's give it a run. Let's see if we broke anything. Okay, getting there. I like that. So what I'm going to have to do here is for this thing that we repeated, this section, the one we just wrote, I'm gonna put this inside a single loop too, because I don't want to rewrite this thing. That's a ton. So let's do this. And I'm going to name this. I'm going to label it as a loop number 1. And this way, I should, if I've done all my stuff correctly, all I have to do is that. Oh, no, I can't do that. I think because the notes are different. I was thinking this is going to be the same, but I don't think it is. Yeah, unfortunately, all the Fs become F sharps. That's okay. That's okay. We can live with that. So much for that bright extra looping idea. Felt like a good idea at the time, but alas, it was a bad idea instead. What I will do is this bit here. Again, I'll deal with the optimization and the looping exactly how I should do it later on. But I know that I want this bit again. This is this thing here, which is the same as this thing and this thing. It happens a bunch of times. So I'll put it in like that. I think, I'm not sure. I think I'll need to do this again. Make sure I get back into the high C. Back up those 3 octaves. So I've got that, and now I have this, which is similar but not identical to this thing right here. This is the thing I was hoping not to have to rewrite, but that's okay. Still need to make sure that this happens 3 times. So I'll bring this down, copy it, and yeah, I need to make sure I get back into the octave there. I think I can do the same thing that I did right there. So what am I looking at? What's the difference? I have F sharp to start out, A, F sharp, change that. Then it's E, D, A, that's the same. Then F sharp, D, A, D, yeah. So I just have to change all the Fs to F sharps, and we've got the right thing. And this is going to happen, as you can see, 3 times in a row. And let's do it. Need to put the 3, or else add music will get mad at me. So what do you think? Let's give it a run. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, that's kind of sort of sounding like music, right? It's really, really electronic and has no ambiance or anything like that, but we've got the notes in the right spot. That's always a win. That's the place, you need to start anyway. So we're almost done with these first 4 bars. That's a success. Now we just need to get this second piano part going. So piano 2, it is Your Time to Shine. Here we go. This one here. It looks like these are all sextuplets. That is a good thing. It doesn't mean we have to worry about these stupid ticks and doing crazy and not so crazy math that for some reason my brain did not allow me to do earlier today, but I figured it out. But here we can just write these as sextuplets, which is going to be a huge thing. Ear porting, Buckriddle. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge for sure. What kind of percussion track is it? It's like a drum set kind of thing? Because those can get especially complicated if you're having to sort out, a bunch of different instruments at once and things like that. This should be much more straightforward. So I just need to pick the right rhythm. I'll throw it in this piano 2 part. And let's see here. That's 16th note triplets. You can write that in a few different ways, but I'm just going to write this as 24th notes. That's my favorite way to write this rhythm. So I'm just going to say L24 like that. And that's going to give me all of these. I don't have to worry about rewriting the rhythm every time. Those will all be that rhythm if I leave it off. Do need to pick an octave. First note here, that is in octave 3. There we go. All right, well, let's put some of these pitches in. Get rid of these 4 bars. And it looks like we start on an A, and then we go up an octave to an E, and then another A, and then up an octave to a C, and then an E, and then a high C. Again, that's up an octave 2. So that gives me this first beat. Let's go on to beat number 2. Beat number 2, I have to get back down. How many octaves did I go up? I went 3 octaves, so let's go back down again. It's a jungle drum beat. Yeah, those things definitely can be tricky. Is it from a game? Are you porting something that's a track from a video game? Because sometimes people will make like MIDIs that you can use, or you know, or just like write out sheet music and things like that that'll actually have the part written out. So that can help sometimes. It can make things a little easier. Not trying to do it so much by ear, but you can actually look at something and do that. From an old Flash game. Wow. Okay. What was the game? Yeah, if you ever go to like vgmusic.com or dot something, I don't remember. Sometimes people will put MIDIs there, and you can be surprised. It's a pretty rare song. Well, you know what? If you want to, like, if you've got, like, if it's on YouTube or if you've got some way of sending me a recording or something like that, Duck Life 4. Yeah, that's for sure a pretty rare song. I've never heard of that. Um, well, send it my way. I'll take a look at it and see if I can give you a sense of, you know, who knows if I'll be able to. Uh, yeah. I'll definitely take a listen. Not right now, but yeah, at some point, maybe I'll do that, and I'll if I can figure out by ear how it goes, I'll see if I can throw that your way too, and at least get you a head start on that. Oh, nice. Um, I don't think I saw that, but I can take a look at that one too. The SMW Central one must have a good score if you're doing a bunch of ports from it. Um, cool. Well, let me get this beat two. Yeah, full of bangers. Nice. Uh, let me get this beat two going here. So that's looking at this right here. We've got A, F, A. Oh, sorry. I need to make sure I get the octave up. Always easy to forget that. A, F, A, B, D sharp, and a high B. D sharp, D sharp. There we go. A, F, A, B, D sharp, B. There we go. And yeah, that actually repeats directly. These two beats are the same as those two, so I'll just put a loop around that. And we'll do that twice. And let's grab the second measure here. These 6 notes I think are the same as these. Yeah, so I can just repeat them. Put that like that. Need to make sure I get into the right octave. So if I'm coming from this B, I'm going to go down 1 octave, I think down 2 octaves. And then this thing. So from that C down to that D, I think that's down another 2 octaves. Then I got these 6 notes. So I got D and A, going up an octave to the next D, and F, and A, and then a high F, up an octave to that F. And that is, again, if I'm looking at this right, yeah, the same thing 3 times in a row. So let's just repeat those 3. Oh, not the whole thing. That would have been bad. Just this. Do it like that. And well, let's take a listen to this now. We still have a couple bars to fill in, but make sure nothing has gone completely off the rails yet. And let's run this bad boy. Okay. That's getting kind of messy there. That's all right. I think it's actually a little bit too slow. So I'm going to bump up this tempo a little bit. Let's try 26. Yeah, it's going to be messy, but that's okay. We'll sort out all the sounds and see if we can get something that's sort of combines into one kind of thing instead of sort of bouncing against each other the way it is kind of at the moment. But that's okay. That's a good start. It's a good start. All right, so we've got those two bars in. Grab these two. This is going to be, again, really similar. So this, in fact, is the same as before. So I just can grab this. That. In fact, see a high F down to low A. That is low. How many down is that? Is that? It's not 4 octaves down, is it? Let's see, across that C, 1, 2, 3. I think it's just 3. Down, down, down. And this thing is going to be really similar, I think, except, again, like the other one, it's going to be F sharps instead of F naturals. So I'll just grab this again. Sure I get into the right octave for it. And again, these just need to be F sharps. And I think I'm okay. All right. Red Aquarium, how you doing here? Okay, that's a good start. One of the issues is that since I'm putting in this top part down an octave, I think that's part of the reason why these piano parts aren't quite blending the way they need to, but that's okay. I'm going to try one thing just to see. I want to try a different sample for these pianos. Try a couple different ones, actually. Give it a little bit more of a bell-like sound. Let's check it out. Yeah, maybe not. Let's try 2. This is the actual bell sound. That is messy. I think if we tweaked one of those or the other one, we could probably get it to something that sounds respectable. I think for now, I'm just going to leave it on 16. Not that it's significantly better, but it's at least a little bit less offensive. So let's see what we got. Remind ourselves. Yeah, that is much more palatable, at least for the moment. Trying to think of what I should do next. We should go on to the next bars, or maybe we should tweak some of the sounds. You know what? I think I do. I think I want to go on, see if I can get a full these next 4 bars in, and hopefully that will give us a nice little chunk of music that we can have set to go. And then maybe if I have some time before I want to get off stream, I can maybe tweak some echo or some vibrato or something like that. So let's see here. So here's where we're starting. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we want the next 4 bars. So I'm going to start down with this cello part at the bottom. And let's find it. I put that, where did I put that? Channel 6. Yeah. So technically this is tied across. I guess I can, well, I'll deal with that later. For now, I'll leave it untied. So this is an A dotted half note. And A flat quarter note. And G dotted half note. Like that. And what's next? then E, quarter note, then A, D, E. Fair enough. A, no, it's a dotted half. And this D here, that's a D quarter note. And this E here, that's a whole note. E1. So we'll have 4 bars of semi-real music, and then we'll get 4 bars of bass line. Let's see how that worked. Okay, bass line. Yeah, with some vibrato that actually won't sound too bad, I don't think. But again, let's get some notes in before we start, you know, actually trying to make the thing sound good. Let's grab this viola part here. We got E, D sharp, E, F. And I've got L4 here, so I can just write these all out, a bunch of quarter notes in a row. E, D sharp, E, E, F, D, we're going on to the next bar here, D, C sharp, D, E, sharp, D, E, and what's the next one down? C, B, C, D, B. So that's C, going down an octave for the B, back up the octave for the C, up again for the D, and we've got a B, that's a whole note. I have to go down an octave for it. Here we go for the B1. All right, and now we've got something to go along with that bass line. Let's give it a listen. Oh, that was... I screwed up. What did I screw up? Oh, idiot. I got it. Why did I call it a 6? A 2. Okay. This will be much more successful, I promise. Much better. And I think a good thing that I see here, if I notice this correctly, this, and this are all the same in 3 different octaves. So I can just take what I put in the viola part. Let me just make sure it's the same all the way to the end here, all the way to that B. It is. Good. So you are going in the second violin part. Need to make sure I get it in the right octave. So, man, octaves are like your life when you're porting. And going from that F sharp, the second violin part, to this E. Okay, same octave, so I don't need to change anything. Is that true of the first violin part too? I've got that A, and is the E in the same octave? No, the E is up. Okay, I have to go back up an octave for the first violin part. So replace this, just make sure I go back up like that. This should be a rousing success. Can't wait. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 160 take it. So what else do we have here? We have to get that flute part in. What's the flute doing? They're doing the same thing? It looks like they're doing the same thing. Nice. So that shouldn't be a problem. So same music as before for the flute 2. And let's make sure that we get this in the right octave as well. So we're coming from that A to this E. All right, we're going up an octave. Sure. Yeah. Cool. And now we've got, I think, flute and strings all set to go. It's just the noodly stuff that I have to get in after that. That's always the hard part. But yeah, just check, make sure this is doing what it's supposed to do. Time for some more fast notes. Let's do it. This looks the same. We had these 2 beats before in that first piano part, so that's good news. Let's get them in there. Fortunately, it doesn't happen completely twice. We'll get this. Although I could loop it, I could loop it, I could loop it. Later. So that gives us these first 2 beats. And then copy that out again, and that'll give us the 3rd beat. This one here, I need to make sure the octave, always the octave, always the octave. And that's going up past 1, past 2 to the 3rd one. So that's from that low A, it'll be 3 octaves up. Oh, sorry. From here. And actually, I'm going to have to do the same thing there too to get from this A to that C. All right, how many notes in this beat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. That's a fast one. So now I have to fit 10 notes into 48 ticks. Let's see, can my math be not idiotic this time? That means I'm going to have 5, I think, for 8 of them, and 4 for 2 of them. Is that a reasonable thing? So let's do C equals 5. Again, just starting right here. That's a high F, really high. C equals 5. Coming down an octave for that B flat. 5. And then the A flat equals 5. And the F equals 5. And then we come down an octave to grab this next, looking right here, that A flat there. A flat equals 5. F equals 5. And then the last 2, we'll do 4. C equals 4. And then down 1 more octave to grab this last A flat. A flat equals 4. Do it right. There we go. Now I was a moron with my math last time. Let's see if I can be smarter this time. Just need to add up to 48. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 44, 48. Nice. Brilliant. Nailed it. So that's a good start. Let's see here. Now where do I have to get back to? Oof. Up to this B. Let me just check this. These rests back in. That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fast notes, man, they take forever. See if that bar of music succeeded. Whoa. That failed. That failed hard. Why did that fail? I think I didn't add in the octave up again. Octaves, it's always octaves. I think I need to do this. Wrong way. Good thing I checked. It's always good to check. D. Let me just check how many octaves back up it is. So where am I coming from? I'm going from this D. So that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I guess it is 3 octaves back up again. Okay, so after that miserable failure, this shall be a roaring success. I'll take it. I will absolutely take that. So I will take non-catastrophic any day of the week, and that seemed to be the right idea. Now the only problem is that we have a billion more notes to go. So I think first I'm actually going to write this measure out so we can get the entirety of this bar done, at least in terms of the notes we want. So let's go into piano 2, get a few more of these glorious sextuplets happening instead of these really annoying dectuplets and non-uplets like the first piano part has. So what do we have here? Well, we have this music again. This is, I believe, is a repeat. And we'll need to grab this again. And I need to not forget all my octave changes. So that high F sharp, that note, that means in order to get down to that low A, I have to cross 1, 2, 3 C's. So down an octave, down an octave, down an octave. I could, of course, I suppose if I were smart, I wouldn't use these so much. I would just actually designate 04 or 03 or whatever it is. That would be the safer thing to do. And then coming down from this B, I'm crossing 1 C, 2 C's. Yeah, in fact, I probably will start doing that in just a bit. But for now, my pride is committed to this version. Okay, so down 3 octaves to this A flat, F, 2, A flat, up an octave, C, F, and I C. Now we should take bets to see if this actually functions correctly, but I'm feeling good. So let's see how that bar altogether sounds. Take it for sure. I think still might need to make some of these long notes a little bit softer compared to the piano stuff. But I'll deal with that later. No, I'll deal with that now. Let's bring this down to 160. In part, I just want to make sure I'm hearing those piano parts really clearly. So strings and flute, you're coming down. You are getting out of the way. And let's check this balance. Yep, just a little bit easier to hear. So that works for me. All right, just three more measures. And then, yeah, we'll try at least some vibrato. See if we can soften up these string parts a little bit. But yeah, let's grab these bars one more time. So, go back to the piano 1 part. This is the laborious stuff. And this measure here, it looks like we're starting out with another, what is that, 10 notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So another dectuplet. That means it's going to have the same rhythm as this thing right here. So I will be lazy and copy that. Only question is, what notes do we want? So we're going up past this C, past this C. So we're up 2 octaves from here. Yeah, I seriously need to just start writing 04, 05, 06. Avoid a lot of disasters. And what notes do we have? We have B, up an octave to a D, down an octave to another B, and then an A, and then a G, and then a D, and then we're coming down an octave. Hey, it's already there. Nice. To a B, G, D, and the last note is down an octave to a G. Success. Love it. Next we have a, what is that? Is that 9 notes? It is 9 notes. All right, let's do it. And just because I was bad at math earlier, I'm going to copy out this rhythm and just change the pitches. This is my standard non-uplet rhythm here. And how many octaves up from this G to that A? So across this C, across that C. So 2. It's becoming increasingly obvious just how dumb it is to keep putting all these greater than signs at the end. Just use the octave designation directly instead. But anyway, committed. So let's do it. That's an A. And we're going up an octave for that C sharp. And back down an octave for that A. And then a G, and then a C sharp. What do we got next? It's coming down an octave for an A. And then a G. And an E flat. Did I do this wrong? I skipped a C sharp. A, G, C sharp. Where did I? No, I didn't skip the C sharp. What's going on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have too many notes. Why did I get this wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, that's fine. I only need 9 notes. Where are the 9 that I want? Oh well. That's all right. I can figure this out. An intelligent human being. At least 5 days of the week. So let's do this. A, C sharp, A, G, C sharp, A, G, E flat, and then just a low G. So I just get rid of that, I guess. And I'm fitting in 9 notes. Just have to remember, how do I do this with a non-uplet rather than the dectuplet? And that is 0. So right now I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 44. So I need 4 more ticks. So I'll change this to 5 and these to 6s. Did I literally just count the notes wrong? Is that why I screwed up the first one? Am I even worse at math than I thought? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Lord. That was moronic. Okay, that's okay. It's okay. Sorry. One thing to get the ticks wrong. It's another thing to see 10 notes and say that there are 9 of them. That's a pretty bold move there. That's okay. But this is how you actually do it when you have 9 notes. And I will just check because apparently I cannot be trusted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great, terrific, fantastic. Cool. And I'm back up to that. This beat looks to me to be the same as that beat. So I'll copy it. And how many octaves up is that? Let's see, across that C is 2 octaves. And let's just get this last beat. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm certain that those are 10 notes. So I will use the 10 note rhythm. And I just have to make sure I pick the right ones. Going back up to that B. There's a B, and then it is an E. Followed by another B. That's good. A, G sharp, fun. And an E. And we end things with a G sharp. Yeah. E sharp, G sharp, and E natural, and a B and an E. So you're coming down another octave there for the B. And that last note there is an E. Okay. One more measure down, and hopefully I was smart enough to pull this off. Too high. That's an error you get a lot. Is there any note that's actually, I should actually have read the error. What line? 39. I wonder if I just need another one of those. Or no, sorry, or one less of those. Down, that's down. There we go. That should be down. Always fun. Always fun. Boarding is always a good time, and it is never frustrating or tedious. So, work. No, didn't work. What's going on? 39. I'm actually just going to tell it what octave to play. What octave do I want in measure 39 here? So, this must have been too many. That's what it is. It's this. This will be perfect. Oh, good. Still too high. What's going on? Oh, it's this. Maybe. Man, how many times can I make this wrong? I've got this wrong all over the place, don't I? Got a couple of these backwards. All the ones in the middle should be, only the first one should ever be up. The rest should be down octaves. And those are all down octaves. That's good. Down octave, down octave. Let's try this. 42, fantastic, great. Try that. Are all of these correct? That's up, down, and down, down. Check to make sure that it's going up the right number. I mean, I crossed that C. I do cross two C's, so it should be this. Where did I go wrong, though? I don't know which one is incorrect. Here, what I'll do is what I should have done before, and I'll make this B is, again, everything's down an octave. I'm writing everything down an octave, so that's an 05. Let's say it like that, and see if that changes anything. Oh, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. I think maybe I don't have it. Well, first of all, I know this is in the wrong. No, it's right. Never mind. Don't have it. Fun with code. That's wrong. Become very clear that I no longer have the brain capacity to actually write the correct notes. So let me run this one more time. I just want to see what happens. What if I, so if I don't put 05 there, what is this? Oh, shit. Okay. This is what I'm going to do, since again my brain has left my body. So I am going to I'm just going to add one more measure, this measure, and then we'll mess with a little bit of vibrato, and then we'll call it a night. So again, piano 2, you are a much better friend than piano 1. At the very least, your rhythm is non-confusing. So what notes do I have here in piano 2? I have a G. I'll just make sure I'm coming down. See, I have to cross that C, that 3 octaves down. And I have a G. And I can go up an octave to a D, G, B, up an octave to a D, and a B. And I'm going to repeat that exact thing 2 beats later, so I'll just copy it now. There. But in between, I have this thing. Down 2 octaves, G, 1 octave, B flat, and a G, and an A, and I'm writing here C sharp and A. An octave for the C sharp, and an A. And how many octaves down to get back to that G? It's past that C and that C 2 octaves down. Cool. And last beat there, down to that low E. That's fun. C and C. That's 2 octaves. So that's low E and then a B, and then up an octave for the G sharp. And then up another octave for the E and the B and the high. Let's take some bets. You think we're going to get a wrong octave error? That's the big question. You know what? I'm feeling confident. I think it's going to go great. Again, if I were feeling less idiotic, I'd go through at least those next two measures. But I think I'm going to leave it for now. And let's try some vibrato on for size. If I were a good porter, I'd remember all of my hex codes, but I don't, and that's fine. So let me find my vibrato hex code. I can't remember if it's the ED thing, if that's the ADSR. Yeah, that's ADSR. Vibrato is DE, of course. So DE, I'm going to put this in all of the string ones, but let's put it in the violin one first. Yeah, here. So I haven't actually talked about the vibrato hex code in any of the tutorials yet. It's pretty straightforward. The first value you put in is how long you want it to delay, and that's in ticks. So I don't want this to delay too much. Maybe about a 16th note or something like that. Yeah, I'll just call it. I'll delay it by. Yeah, let's do that to start out with, and then the next one is how fast you want it to wobble. Start with something not too fast. Let's just do some 12s across the board. It's a not too aggressive vibrato. And I'll put this in all the string channels, hear it all happening at once. So all violins, viola, and cello. So yeah, first value is how much you want it to delay before it starts. Second is how fast. Third is how wide. All right, let's give this a run. Yeah, you can hear it in there. I'm actually going to turn off the piano parts here. Just mute them. Be a little easier to hear. Now I wanted to go a little faster than that. I am worried about when I add echo. Anytime you add echo, combine it with vibrato, you'll actually sort of get sort of a double vibrato effect that makes it even faster. But let me just check it for now. I will bring it up to this is the speed value there. I'll bring it up to 18. Again, these are all hex numbers, so that's 24 in decimal. Although I wouldn't trust any math from me at the moment. I'm just going to listen to one part, make it even clearer. Let me get this flute out of there too. Let's just do this. And let's just hear the cello since it's only playing one note. Yeah, that might be okay. Let's grab just the viola. Yeah, I'm worried that with echo that's going to be too fast, but I might want it to be a little wider. Let me reverse these. Let me try this on 12 and this on 18. So now we're going to make it slower but wider vibrato. And let's hear the other strings with that. think that'll be okay. Again, when I add the echo, that's going to mess with it a little bit. But even that little bit of vibrato does sort of soften things up in a nice way. So I'm going to leave it in there like that for now. Let's add the other parts in. I'm going to need to put some vibrato on the flute too. This is all parts now. You know what? And I think it should go still a little faster. Let's bump that T value up. Let's try 28. An echo on here too. Who knows? We'll probably just make a giant mess, but it'll give me a sense of what we're dealing with here. So echo, we need to put in 2 different values. I haven't talked about this on any of the tutorials either. I'm going to make this a global thing also. So the 2 main hex values that we need for echo are the EF hex, and that has 3 parameters. One is, the first one is, it says how many, which channels are you going to want the echo on? And basically the way that works is that you think of this 2-digit hex value as an 8-digit binary value. So 1, 0, depending on 1 or 0, and then you have to sort of convert it back into a hex value. I'll just put them on all the channels for now. So I'll make that double F. That'll give me, that's essentially 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then the next 2 are they're sort of left-right pan of the echo volume. So so I'll make them the same. I don't want the echo to be louder in one ear than the other. So I'll do a sort of what is that? That is a conservative average kind of echo volume for both sides there. And then the next, so that's one hex code that you need to use. And the next one is how, basically how much echo do you want? How much do you want it to delay? And how much how much feedback do you want to get? How many times do you want it to echo, sort of? So let's put this on. So this is the F1 hex code. And the first value here is the delay. If you overdo the delay, you will kill your port. You'll get an ARAM, audio RAM error. So I'm going to start with a pretty, I'll just start with 1. That's if you do 0, then the echo happens at the exact same time as the original sound. So I'll just start with 1. This is the sort of least amount of delay you can put in. That's actually after the original sound. Now let's see how much reverb. Again, what I'll do here, I don't want a ton. I'll try something conservative again, maybe 20, just a guess. And then this next value is the infamous fur filter value. I'll try 1 for now. Most people choose either 1 or 0. There are actually 32 different built-in fur filters you can choose from, 0, 0 up to 1F. Technically, you can put anything from 0, 0 to double F, but they recycle. So after you get to 1F, they'll just start over from the first one again. So that's our fun echo. Let's see if that makes a difference. Man, it is amazing how much that little bit of echo smoothes things out, doesn't it? Well, it's just for fun. Let's delay this even a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit. And I'll move this up too. Just experimenting here. Yeah, you hear how the vibrato is that much more obvious because it's vibrating against the echo too. Adding that echo is like a breath of fresh air. It goes from just such an ugly port, not an ugly port, but man, suddenly it starts to sound like music. Wow, that is such a huge difference. Um, ooh, I'm so glad I did that. I wasn't gonna, but that is going to be a necessity for sure. Um, so yeah, I might try a few different vibrato values now that I've got an echo in there, and I'll try a few different echo values. And yeah, just sort of trying to get that right combination of vibrato, of echo, of delay, of all those different echo settings that are in there, just to get something that gets that really kind of washy sound that we want from this aquarium port. So. You know what? It's been almost 2 hours, and as I said before, my brain left my body about a half hour ago. So I think I'll call it for tonight. But thanks to those of you who stopped by, and I'll throw this VOD up. I might edit it if I'm feeling strong. I think more likely I'll probably just put a few sort of markers in there just to point out some of the important events. And in case people want to check it out, see some porting in action. And they can throw comments, asking questions in the comments for that video as well. So anyway, thanks again. And yeah, I'll do this from time to time. And I hope to catch you at my next live stream. Thanks. Yeah, good night. Hey, sorry, Johan, I didn't see you there in the chat, but I'm glad that that helped you learn. And yeah, welcome.